Good Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Valerie Castro in for Savannah Sellers. Breaking news right now on Morning News Now. Surprise visit. President Biden makes an unannounced visit to Ukraine, his first since the war began. The president met with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky as Ukraine prepares to mark 1 year since Russia first invaded. We have full coverage this morning with what we're learning about this historic visit, plus the latest on Ukraine's fight as Russia launches a new offensive. Show of support. Tributes to former President Jimmy Carter. The 98-year-old is now in hospice care, spending his final days with his family. We have the latest on the country's longest living leader this morning, plus the impact this news is having on the small Georgia town he called home for most of his life. Outrage in Ohio. Concerns are growing over air and water quality after the train derailment involving toxic materials. The CEO of the company that owns the train has now visited the area, but people living there say his visit is not enough. What they want to see the CEO do next and the new action officials may take against the company. Also this morning, rewritten. Roald Dahl is known for classics like Matilda and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now publishers are changing some parts of his books to make them more inclusive, but not everyone is on board with that. We'll explain the controversy behind these changes later this hour. We begin this morning with breaking news in Ukraine. President Biden making a surprise visit to Kyiv, where he met with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky.
It is the first time President Biden has visited Ukraine since Russia invaded the country nearly 1 year ago. President Biden was seen walking the streets of Kyiv side by side with Zelensky to underscore U.S. support for the country and to honor the troops killed in combat. The two leaders also met at the Ukrainian presidential palace to discuss more aid from the U.S. The unscheduled visit comes on President's Day ahead of a high-stakes trip to Poland, where the president is set to meet with several NATO leaders to discuss strategy over Russia's new offensive attacks. President Biden had this to say about supporting Ukraine.
He thought he could outlast us. I don't think he's thinking that right now. God knows what he's thinking, but I don't think he's thinking that. But he's just been plain wrong. Plain wrong. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room. We stand here together. Freedom is priceless. It's worth fighting for as long as it takes. And that's how long we're going to be with you, Mr. President, for as long as it takes.
We'll do it.
Thank you.
We have our team standing by to walk us through this morning's breaking developments, including NBC News foreign correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer and global security reporter Dan DeLuce. But let's start with NBC News correspondent Josh Letterman, who is in Poland. Josh, good morning. So walk us through this surprise visit from the president. We knew he was coming to where you are in Poland. Weren't expecting this trip to Ukraine. What did he discuss with President Zelensky?
Well, Joe, this trip shrouded in secrecy. President Biden leaving Washington secretly just after 4 a.m. on Sunday. The White House put out a public schedule for the president that indicated he was still going to be leaving at 7 p.m. tonight for his trip to Poland. All the while, President Biden had already slipped out of the country and was half a world away on his way to Kyiv. Now, for security reasons, the White House is not releasing information about how exactly he got into the country until he is safely out of Ukraine. But we know that this was a major display of unity with the Ukrainians on the eve of the 1 year anniversary. But not only that, anytime the president makes a trip like this, there are all kinds of questions about what are the deliverables? Is the president showing up empty-handed? President Biden telling President Zelensky of Ukraine as they met today in the presidential palace in Kyiv about additional U.S. support. Take a listen.
Just today, that announcement includes artillery ammunition for HIMARS and howitzers, more javelins, anti-armor systems, air surveillance radars to help protect Ukrainian people from aerial bombardments. Later this week, we will announce additional sanctions against elites and companies that are trying to evade sanctions and backfill Russia's war machine. And thanks to bipartisan support in Congress, this week we're delivering billions in direct budgetary support. Billions in direct budgetary support. which the government can put to use immediately.
A year ago, about now, Joe, President Putin was predicting that Russia's military would be able to sweep through the country of Ukraine in a matter of days, claim the capital of Kyiv. And here today, a year later, President Biden was able to take a stroll side by side with President Zelensky through downtown Kyiv, outside St. Michael's Cathedral, which is an area very familiar to journalists who have spent time in Kyiv, clearly trying to send a message that Ukraine remains free from Russian control, at least in the capital of Kyiv, and will continue to fight for all of its territory seized by Russia last year.
Josh, put the president's trip into context for us. What's the latest on the ground there just days before the one-year anniversary of this war? What did the president see during his walk through the city?
Well, he was able to see a city that has really come back to life and is fighting for its survival, despite the fact that, parts of Ukraine remain under Russian control. And as the Ukrainians have been approaching the end of winter, they've really spent the last several months when there has been a slowdown in the fighting, that the front lines have largely been hardened during the winter, to try to regroup, to try to prepare for a new offensive that they have been promising to try to seize back territory, especially in the east and in the south. But the Russians, at the very same time, are also planning their own offensive. In fact, according to NATO officials, that Russian offensive has already started. And so both sides right now really bracing for an uptick in fighting to see who is going to be able to seize the upper hand as we move out of the winter months. And that is one reason that President Biden felt it was so important to send the message of solidarity right now.
And Josh, real quickly, the president, of course, is still slated to deliver that important address where you are in Warsaw tomorrow. What can we expect?
Yeah, that's right. President Biden will return to the Palace Gardens, just a few blocks from where I'm standing right now, the same place he gave a speech last March urging the world to rally behind Ukraine. His message will largely focus on the need to double down on that support, not to let the foot up on the gas of additional U.S. security assistance, economic assistance to Ukraine, and to try to make clear to European allies and, frankly, to Americans back at home that supporting Ukraine in this fight is not charity, that the security of the rest of the world is at stake, and that supporting Ukraine in this second year of the war is the best way to ensure that the rest of the world does not have to fight Russia, and that global security is able to be maintained.
Josh Letterman in Poland. Josh, thank you so much. Now, President Biden's surprise visit to Ukraine comes amid another major global challenge. The White House is alleging that China has been providing non-lethal support to Russia and that Beijing is also thinking about sending lethal aid.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken made the allegations on Meet the Press after attending the Munich Security Conference over the weekend. Here's what he said.
China's trying to have it both ways. Publicly, they present themselves as a country striving for peace in Ukraine. But privately, as I said, we've seen already over these past months the provision of non-lethal assistance that does go directly to aiding and abetting Russia's war effort, and some further information that we are sharing today and that I think will be out there soon that indicates that they are strongly considering providing lethal assistance to Russia. To the best of our knowledge, they haven't crossed that line yet.
What form is that?
But as we're sharing.
Yeah, in what form?
Chuck, I don't want to get into the details in this moment, but there are various kinds of lethal assistance that they are at least contemplating providing, to include weapons. I made clear the importance of not crossing that line and the fact that it would have serious consequences in our own relationship. Something that we do not need on top of the balloon incident that China's engaged in.
What kind of consequences are you talking about? What did you share with him?
Look, I'm not going to get into that, but I can again tell you that this is something that President Biden has raised directly with President Xi.
Let's bring in Janice Mackey-Freyer and Dan DeLuce for more on this. Dan, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit more about what the U.S. is alleging here. Do we know what kind of support China is said to have been providing?
Well, we already know that the U.S. sanctioned a Chinese company that was accused of providing satellite imagery to the Wagner Group mercenaries that fight for Russia in Ukraine. And we have reason to believe that this kind of non-lethal aid probably includes body armor, radio equipment, items like that. But they have not publicly listed what China has been doing. And now, of course, there's this concern that China is ready to cross that line and provide weapons and ammunition to Russia.
So, Janice, how is Beijing reacting to these accusations from the U.S.?
Well, Chinese officials are hitting back at these accusations. Today at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a spokesperson said, quote, "It is the U.S. who has been continuously providing weapons to the war. The U.S. is not qualified to give orders to China." You can't help but think that there's perhaps no coincidence to the timing of this suggestion by the Secretary of State. It comes as Wang Yi, China's top diplomat, is expected to arrive in Moscow to, among other things, lay the groundwork for a state visit to Russia by China's President Xi Jinping. The Secretary of State also said he has spoken about consequences to the relationship for U.S. and China. The U.S.-China relationship, as we know, is in a very precarious spot. It was fraught even before the balloon incident. Now there's no cooperation on any issue. There are no meetings happening at any level. At the same time, we see the relations between China and Russia growing closer and deeper.
And Janice, we understand China is working on its peace plan for the war, which President Xi Jinping is expected to lay out in a speech later this week. Do we know what that could look like?
Well, Wang Yi, the diplomat, said that the position can be described as, quote, promoting peace talks. He said that in his speech in Munich. The issue, of course, is that it can be argued that China is not an impartial player to be playing a key role in peace talks for Ukraine. The relationship has grown ever closer. It was almost a year ago that Russian President Vladimir Putin was here, and he made the declaration with Xi Jinping, men who have met more than 40 times, this 5,000-word manifesto where they had a partnership with no limits. Over the past year, we have seen trade ties deepen between China and Russia. China is a #1 buyer of Russian energy. There has been trade in other goods. There have been joint military drills. At the same time, the relationship with the U.S. has deteriorated to the point where, since the balloon incident, defense officials here aren't even picking up the phone line with the U.S. All of this happening as China appears to be getting on with diplomatic business elsewhere. Last week, hosting Iran's president for deals and for talks. And of course, this visit to Moscow by Xi Jinping that could happen as early as next month.
And Dan, I mean, we know Secretary Blinken met with Yi, his Chinese counterpart, on the sidelines of the Munich conference. He brought up the alleged spy balloon incident. It was a pretty heated moment. What happened there?
That's right, Joe. A very tense moment, and really a relationship that more and more does resemble the Cold War era, with both sides possibly giving weapons to different sides in a conflict in Ukraine. In that conversation, Secretary Blinken made it clear that this was totally unacceptable to have that spy balloon fly across the continental U.S. and violate U.S. airspace, but he did not hear his Chinese counterpart say sorry. Here's what Secretary Blinken had to say about that meeting.
I can tell you, no, there was no apology. But what I can also tell you is this was an opportunity to speak very clearly and very directly about the fact that China sent a surveillance balloon over our territory, violating our sovereignty, violating international law. And I told him quite simply that that was unacceptable and can never happen again.
Well, that is a very tense meeting, clearly, and things are very difficult right now between China and the United States, no question.
No doubt. So much happening around the globe right now. Janice and Dan, thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it.
The other big story we're following this morning is the latest on the health of former President Jimmy Carter.
Carter is at home in Plains, Georgia this morning after a series of hospital stays. Over the weekend, his foundation announced he has decided to forego further medical treatment and has opted for end-of-life hospice care at home instead. 98 years old, Carter is the oldest living former American president. The Georgia Democrat was elected the 39th president back in 1976. After leaving office, Carter continued his work through the Carter Center, promoting democracy and peaceful resolutions to conflict around the globe. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson has more on Carter's condition.
Well, this morning, heartfelt messages of love and support for former President Jimmy Carter are continuing to pour in. The Carter Center has created a message board where people from around the country and across the globe are sharing treasured memories with the former president and just speaking about how much they love him and are praying for him and his family during this moment. We also know that President Biden has been in touch with the Carters who are here in Plains, Georgia, and he tweeted as well saying, quote, "We admire you for the strength and humility that you have shown during difficult times," adding, "May you continue your journey with grace and dignity, and God grant you peace." And peace is really the mood here on the ground here in Plains. This is something that President Carter has spoken about in the past. As a reminder, in his 80s, he battled cancer. He had melanoma that was in his liver and that spread to his brain, and he really defied the odds in surviving that. And after that experience, he spoke about this idea that he may have only had weeks left to live during that time. And he said that he felt at ease about it. He said that he had lived an adventurous and exciting life. And for that, he was so grateful. And we saw his grandson also tweeting after this news was announced, saying that the Carters are at peace and that their home is full of love as it has always been. And the community here is certainly sending that love to Mr. Carter and his wife of more than 75 years who is by his side right now, Rosalind Carter. We were here yesterday as the church service let out, and of course that is the church that he attended, a church where he taught Bible study, and the members there spoke about how much they love him and how much he has meant to this community, and so many of those feelings being felt around the country today. Of course, President Carter served only one term in office, but after his time in office, he spent a great deal of his efforts working to fight for peace and also human rights around the world. He worked very closely with Habitat for Humanity, volunteering every year. He built in all more than 4,000 homes with that organization, and so he has certainly lived a very full life here. And so today, many people just continuing to send those thoughts and prayers as the former president has decided to forego any further medical treatment. As he mentioned, some of those short hospital stays that he had been experiencing recently, and has now made the decision to enter home hospice care and to live out his final days at his home here in Plains, Georgia. Back to you.
All right, Priscilla, thank you.
5 people, including a child, were shot during Sunday night's Crew of Bacchus parade in New Orleans. Police say the child and 4 adults were all taken to area hospitals where they are expected to survive. 1 person has been detained and 2 guns were recovered from the scene. Police have not released any other details about the shooting. The parade is one of the largest in the city's world-famous Mardi Gras season.
Now to the latest on the Ohio train derailment, which has sparked serious concerns about air and water quality in the area. The CEO of the company that owns the train paid a visit to the site and met with some community members. NBC News correspondent George Solis has the latest from East Palestine.
Many residents here in East Palestine say they are outraged they did not have an opportunity to meet with Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw during his unannounced visit on Saturday. Now, we spoke with one business owner who met with the CEO privately, says he believes the CEO could be doing more. Tempers flaring in East Palestine.
I'm not happy at all.
Outrage brewing following Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw's unannounced visit on Saturday. Residents fuming as more questions linger over the toxic train derailment that's fueled concerns over air and water quality.
Why wasn't this voiced openly so that we could all have gone and had a few words with this person?
Mike McKim was among a small group of business owners and community members that spoke with the CEO privately.
he was apprehensive about coming here with a bunch of angry people. I'm not afraid to say that it wasn't right. And there's a lot of other people that feel the same way that I feel.
Security cameras from his newly opened winery captured the nearby fiery derailment. Customers now canceling reservations.
It's the American dream. You know, it's kind of turned into an American nightmare.
In an interview with NBC Ohio affiliate WFMJ, the CEO declined to answer specific questions about cleanup concerns at the site.
We worked with the Ohio EPA on safe operations and safety for the community.
The company says they've distributed more than $2.6 million to help residents. The Department of Transportation saying they will hold the company accountable, adding that until the number of derailments is zero, everyone involved in our rail system must make safety improvements a priority. This as air and water testing continues. The EPA saying there are still no water quality concerns. NBC News has learned that Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost has sent a letter to CEO Alan Shaw informing him that his office is considering a lawsuit against the train company. This as the investigation into the derailment continues. Back to you.
All right, George, thank you.
Now to your morning news now. Weather. Winter is not quite done with us just yet.
It is February. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us now. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. I know we've been so spoiled in the east, and we're going to be warm this week. That's a big weather headline. Another big weather headline is the winter weather out west. We have another powerful storm system. It's sort of a repeat performance to last week, where we're going to watch this cross-country storm first bringing snow today, a little more snow tomorrow, and then Wednesday. That's going to be a really active day with ice in the middle, and then on the warm side, watching the threat for severe weather. So on this Monday, we are looking at 15 million people impacted by winter alerts. We do have winter storm warnings. That's in the pink, a blizzard warning in the purple. Winter storm watches are in the blue, and winter weather advisories in the white. And this will be over the next few days, not just today, not just tomorrow, but these alerts stay in place through Thursday. And we're going to see some snow in feet and spots. Also really windy, so you combine the snow with the blowing winds. We're going to see some blowing snow. We're also going to see some whiteout conditions over the next couple of days. So 41 million people at risk for really high winds gusting up to 85 miles per hour. And these alerts stay in place through Wednesday as well. You can see those alerts extending from the northwest to the southwest into portions of the Rockies, and then most likely will be extended as we go throughout the next couple of days. So this is the setup for today. We have a couple fronts moving through. First, a clipper system brings some snow to portions of the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, into interior parts of the Northeast, but it's that big, powerful storm that's getting underway, and that's going to bring heavy snow and rain as it sort of expands as we go throughout the day. Very windy, as I mentioned, winds gusting anywhere from 65 to 85 miles per hour. Tuesday, the snow does expand to the Rockies and northern plains. We're going to see some whiteout conditions, really dangerous travel as we head throughout Tuesday. And then look at Wednesday. It's going to be a mess on Wednesday. We have blue, that is the snow on the cold side. You see some pink, that's your transition zone where we're going to see sleet and ice. That is particularly dangerous with power outages, also really difficult to travel on. And then on the warm side, we're watching once again for the chance of some severe storms, especially in the south, sort of the same spots as we've seen the past couple of weeks, so really not getting relief there. In terms of your snowfall forecast, it's going to be a lot of snow for some, locally 9 to 16 inches in portions of the Dakotas into Minnesota, also Wisconsin. South Dakota, you could see some heavy snow. Minnesota, you could see some heavy snow. And then we're going to be measuring that feet and snow and feet in portions of the higher elevations of the Cascades, so the higher mountains ranges in the west. Ice accumulation, this is what we're going to be concerned about. Tuesday and Wednesday, we're looking at the chance for some power outages. Where you see the pink, that's where we're expecting that. And so really difficult travel in those areas. Back to you guys.
Definitely some winter weather there. All right, Michelle, thank you so much. Coming up, it is now the defense's turn to make its case in the Alec Murdaugh trial. So what will they do to try to convince a jury that the high-profile attorney did not kill his wife and son? We'll break down what to expect in the coming days.
Plus, the latest on new North Korean missile tests, why there could be more missiles fired by Kim Jong-un in the coming days. This is Morning News Now.
We're back now with the latest on the double murder trial of Alec Murdaugh. South Carolina prosecutors rested their case on Friday after calling dozens of witnesses over the last 4 weeks.
Now it's the defense's turn to prove that the 54-year-old did not fatally shoot his wife and son in 2021.
For the latest, we are joined by NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Danny, good morning. So court resumes tomorrow after the holiday today. Let's get everyone caught up to speed here, and you've made an honest assessment of the prosecution's case over the last few weeks. Where did they do well? Where were they maybe lacking a little bit?
If you'd asked me earlier last week, I would have told you that the prosecution was doing well, but the defense was scoring some points. I think things changed dramatically on Friday when the prosecution introduced this late found evidence of vehicle location, this data that was provided to the prosecution, which really in many ways puts the lie, number one, to Murdaugh's alibi, but also it goes further in not only placing him at the crime scene, but even on a lone country road where apparently his wife's cell phone was found. They tracked it going about 40 miles an hour. Then he speeds up, implying, I think, that he slowed down to toss it out of the car. Again, this is all circumstantial evidence that ultimately really only proves two things, rather. Number one, that Murdaugh was there, and number two, that it's inconsistent with what he told police, which I go back to my common refrain, which is a lot of this case is made out by Murdaugh's own words used against him.
And Danny, they have that strong evidence, but where have they not made such a compelling argument?
Well, you could say that they don't have any direct evidence. They don't have an eyewitness, but that's a pretty common problem in murder cases because the one eyewitness is no longer with us. So you might make that argument. Look for the defense one way or another when they get back on Tuesday. Are they going to open with a third-party theory? In other words, are they going to point to an empty chair and say, as we say in the business, some other dude did it? SODI is the acronym. But are they going to develop that defense, or are they just going to sit back and say, well, there may be some evidence here, but they haven't proven it beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest standard that we have in the law. If they do that, that typically means you don't have a lot of other options as a defense.
SODI. All right, I didn't know that one before. So, I mean, the defense that called its first two witnesses on Friday, including the county coroner. Now we look ahead and see maybe a week of arguments, I think, is what we're thinking. What do you think is the key thing the defense needs to do moving forward? Because really all they need is one juror, right, to say, yeah, I don't believe this.
Exactly right. So we already know the state is going to put together a very comprehensive timeline. Expect a lot of demonstrative exhibits in the state's closing, pinpointing where Murdaugh was and where he said he was, and showing the inconsistency. The defense has to go on the aggressive with the problems in the state's investigation, which you commonly do. You chip away at what they could have done, what they should have done. Did they focus in on one suspect early on and ignore all the other suspects? Expect some of that argument. But I'm really looking this week to see one way or another, are they going to point the finger at anyone else? Do they have anyone else to point the finger at? Because so far, the only evidence was the only other person other than the victims at that property at that time apparently was Murdaugh.
Of course, the odds of Murdaugh testifying are like...
Can you take your finger and make it closer to your thumb?
Like
they're very small, but there's always a chance because a defendant has the constitutional absolute right to ignore his lawyers, as they often do, and do what they think is best, which is how they got in that chair to begin with. But they have the privilege to take that stand if they want to. Statistically, most don't.
All right, Danny, thank you so much.
Turning now to a story out of Los Angeles that's left a community shaken. Detectives there investigating the murder of a beloved bishop found shot to death. NBC's Steve Patterson has more now on that faith leader and what police are calling a suspicious death.
Unanswered questions after a beloved bishop was found murdered in his own home. Investigators say the circumstances surrounding his death don't add up.
We do not believe there's any kind of threat to the public. We're very early in the investigation right now.
Police say 69-year-old Bishop David O'Connell was found bleeding and not breathing at his home in Hacienda Heights Saturday afternoon from an apparent gunshot wound in his upper torso. Detectives now labeling the death as a homicide and believe it was targeted.
It was very shocking to me. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it.
Known as LA's peacemaker, the man affectionately called Bishop Dave spent most of his 4 decades of priesthood ministering to South LA communities afflicted with poverty and gang violence.
He spent a lot of time in inner cities. He dealt with a lot of things that people don't deal with on a daily basis.
In a statement, the Archdiocese of Los Angeles saying it is deeply disturbed and saddened by this news. His local parish, St. Raymond Catholic Church, adding Bishop Dave would be out on the blacktop playing basketball or telling jokes when visiting classes.
I married my wife and I here in this church 40 years ago. Funny man, found humor in everything.
I knew I'd lost a great friend. I knew that LA had lost, a great bishop. Woke up to the news that he had been shot. So that just doubled the shock and the surprise.
He was elevated to auxiliary bishop by Pope Francis in 2015. Bishop Robert Barron was ordained with him.
I can't understand it. And that's part of the trauma of this thing for all of us, is we just find it so hard to understand.
Investigators now tasked with answering the only cries maybe louder than prayers, desperate questions about why a man so loved was found murdered. Steve Patterson, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Turning to the international headlines now, and tensions are rising after North Korea conducted more missile tests.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us now from Rome for this and more. Good morning, Claudio.
Good morning. Yes, starting off in North Korea, where two more ballistic missiles were fired towards its eastern waters. Now, this is the second missile test in just 3 days. Now, Kim Yo-jong, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, warns that there could be more to come in response to joint air drills between the U.S., South Korea, and other Asian allies. She said in a statement, the frequency of using the Pacific as our firing range depends upon the U.S.'s forces action character. Now to the Philippines, where authorities are looking into the wreckage of a possible plane crash. The Cessna 340, carrying 2 Filipino and 2 Australian pilots, lost contact over the weekend. Possible pieces from the crash were spotted at the foot of a restive volcano during an aerial search, including the plane's tail. But there is still no sign of the pilots. Ending now in Japan, where thousands are saying farewell to a beloved panda, a major tourist attraction since her birth in 2017. Fans crowded at Tokyo's zoo to get one last wave-in before the giant panda flies back home to join her parents in China. China sends pandas to other countries as a sign of goodwill, but maintains ownership. Only 2,600 lucky survivors got the chance to say their goodbyes, one sharing, "I don't think there is any panda like her in the whole universe." Back to you guys.
Some high panda praise right there. All right, Claudio, thank you so much.
Coming up, students at Michigan State University are returning to classes 1 week after the deadly shooting there. We're on campus next with how students are feeling and the new security measures in place.
Plus, censored children's classics like Matilda, James and the Giant Peach are being changed by the publisher. We'll take a look at what's behind these changes and the controversy that it's generating next. Welcome back. Students and faculty are returning to class this morning at Michigan State University.
It comes a week after a gunman went on a deadly rampage on campus, killing 3 students and injuring 5 others. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch joins us now from East Lansing with the latest. Good morning, Jesse. How are students feeling this morning?
Valerie and Joe, good morning. I think there's this sense of conflicted emotion on this campus this morning. I can tell you yesterday, as students were returning to campus and we saw the community coming together here, remember, these are people coming back, getting ready to go to school, and they're seeing streets and buildings lined with flowers and signs of support. A reminder that this is not a normal return to class. And the university has made clear that it is not expecting this to be a normal return to class, emphasizing that they are asking faculty to be mindful of the situation here and not make this an especially strenuous first day of classes here. And even as all classes are resuming here, including those most directly impacted by the shooting on Monday night, according to the school, the student union as well as Berkey Hall, the 2 sites of this massacre, those 2 facilities we're told will remain closed. And we've talked to students about how they're feeling about coming back to class. Some say they are confident. Others seem to have more trepidation than others. Here's what some shared with us.
I think, the best way to really get back to normal is just to kind of embrace the discomfort right now, because everybody's shaken up. It's tough to come back, and just with the feeling in the air, everybody knows what happened. It's the elephant in the room, and you can't just, it's obviously not like it was before, and it's not going to be for a while.
So again, a reminder that this is not a typical first day of classes here, guys.
Jesse, how has the university prepared for the students' return? Are they increasing security there on campus?
Yeah, Joe, obviously the school has, of course, put out messages to students, reminding them again of the resources available to them here, both academically as well as, for emotional and mental support here on campus. And I did ask the University Police Department at a press conference what changes, if any, have been made that they can share about the security here. And they said broadly that the security plan is going to be what it was before this shooting, that they feel confident in their plan. Here's part of what the police department shared with me.
To be honest, we haven't made a lot of changes. We are adequately prepared to respond to any needs on this campus. Now, with that being said, there may be an increased visible presence on campus this week of law enforcement, with some of our partners as well, providing an extra visible presence because we have listened to our community.
So that's part of what they shared yesterday at a press conference with us. And again, what they're talking about there is possibly more visible police presence, but largely sticking to the plan that they have. But we have heard the university alluding to the possibility of changes down the road, and the school has told us those are things that are being looked into.
And Jesse, we know two of the victims were laid to rest over the weekend, Brian Frazier and Alexandria Verner. How are they being remembered?
Yeah, and we also saw a vigil for Ariel Anderson. Obviously, all three young students. The oldest two were 20 years old. So we're talking about young lives that were cut short. They were being memorialized at their funeral masses for Verner and Frazier, as well as that vigil for Anderson. And then on campus, we continue to see their names. We see flowers and candles throughout this community. So no question, guys, those three are top of mind as they try to get back to some kind of normal here today.
All right, Jesse, thanks so much.
Classic children's books by celebrated author Roald Dahl have been re-edited by his publisher in the UK, removing language that some considered offensive. And that has led to accusations of censorship. NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff has the details.
Hey there, Roald Dahl wrote some of the most popular children's books of all time, but now the company behind them says it's worked with a collective devoted to inclusion and accessibility, resulting in changes that critics are labeling censorship.
I'm Hortensia.
From Matilda.
She doesn't really hit children with that riding crop, does she?
To Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I find a golden ticket.
To James and the Giant Peach. All of the Roald Dahl books are considered classics of children's literature and film. But a new generation of readers might find passages that have been altered from the original text. Britain's Telegraph newspaper detailing hundreds of word changes made to UK editions by Dahl's publisher and the Roald Dahl Story Company. Edits to subjects like weight, gender, physical appearance, and more. In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the enormously fat Augustus Gloop is now just enormous.
I like a joke as well as the next fat person.
The frightening Miss Trunchbull from Matilda no longer described with a great horsey face. And the Cloudmen from James and the Giant Peach are now Cloud People.
Those who work with young people, recognizing that they were dealing here with children's literature, and there has to be some sensitivity about topics that didn't exist in time past.
But the changes have triggered a backlash. Writer Salman Rushdie tweeting, Roald Dahl was no angel, but this is absurd censorship. Another critic writing, sensitive readers shouldn't be anywhere near Roald Dahl to begin with. Dahl expressed anti-Semitic views in interviews before his death in 1990. 30 years later, the author's family issued an apology for the hurt his statements caused. Now, the Roald Dahl Story Company says reviewing a work's language is not unusual, adding, any changes made have been small and carefully considered. Other media companies are grappling with similar issues. Disney Plus has added an on-screen disclaimer to some of its classic films, including Peter Pan and The Aristocats, warning viewers this program includes negative depictions and/or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. For families, it's part of an ongoing conversation about how to approach classics from the past in today's modern world. Netflix now owns the rights to Dahl's works. In a statement, the Roald Dahl Story Company says the language review began before that happened. The revised editions became available in the UK last year. It's not clear if the US versions will be edited in the same way. Back to you.
All right, Jacob Soboroff, thank you.
Coming up, we've been talking a lot about artificial intelligence, how it's being used in the classroom and in the office.
But it's also now being used at airports. So we're going to show you how AI is helping airlines track down lost bags. That's next.
We're back with a new use for artificial intelligence that's helping travelers who've lost items at airports. NBC News technology correspondent Jake Ward has the story.
Roughly 100,000 items are lost at TSA checkpoints every single month. Just last year, there were more than 500,000 unclaimed items, 25,000 laptops, 6,000 cell phones. So why aren't people getting back their precious tech? Well, it's really hard to track down. The old method of pen and paper logging just isn't cutting it. Lost and Found Software, a company based in Germany, is integrating AI to make the process more efficient. CEO Markus Scharschmidt says it's much easier to teach AI to recognize lost items than it is to teach a human.
You can take a picture of the item, let's say a headset or something like this. The AI recognizes what it is. If there's text on it, it will recognize this as well. If it's a backpack, we know the type. What kind of backpack. So this saves the employee a lot of time. They can register it early when they find it.
Lost and Found Software also integrated ChatGPT last year, and it's been a time saver and a game changer.
We integrated it for the communication part. So writing emails to the customer, asking questions. Maybe they didn't fill out, let's say, the serial number, and writing them an email or even with a template was time consuming. Now they just click together an email what they want to ask, and ChatGPT writes the whole email. You can use it almost everywhere, in every software where you have interactions with customers. And I think that's just limitless.
The software is now being used in more than 35 airports worldwide. Dallas, Fort Worth, Frankfurt, Melbourne, and Marcus hopes to get each location talking to one another.
Just imagine you're traveling around the world or within the U.S. from different airports, and we can identify all these different companies using our system. It doesn't matter where you go to make your inquiry. We can look in the whole holistic network.
So whether you love it or hate it or just confused by it, AI could help you get your iPhone back after leaving it behind in a TSA bin. But Marcus says we need to use it carefully.
We have to think how to use it, and listen to all the critic out there that you should not write your homework with it or writing your business emails with all the names in it. So yeah, it's really a great tool, but you have to be careful how to use it. Yeah.
That was Jake Ward reporting. The TSA says it's recorded more than 552,000 unclaimed items last year.
Now to a creative idea helping those in my home state of Minnesota get through those long, hard winters. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa shows us how the state's letting the internet take the wheel when it comes to naming those ever so important snowplows.
In a state synonymous with brutal winters, plows double as proof of Minnesota's comedy chops.
How popular did you think this was going to be?
Not anywhere near as popular as it became.
In 2020, the state's Department of Transportation hoped to thaw the icy isolation of COVID lockdowns with a contest, letting the public name snowplows. 122,000 votes later, a pun-packed tradition was born, producing pop culture plays like The Big Lebowski and Control-Alt-Delete, celebrity nods like Scoop Dog and Betty Whiteout, and in pure Minnesota fashion, Ope, just gonna plow right past you. Perhaps the gold standard manned by David Jackson.
You are the driver of Plowy McPlowface.
Yep. Plowy's namesake, a British vessel online voters famously dubbed Boaty McBoatface in 2016.
People see it and they're like, oh, it's Plowy.
Jackson sees the silliness as gratitude.
I think they get a better appreciation for what we do.
This year's winners honoring entertainment royalty with Better Call Saul, You're a Blizzard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And Blizzo. The Grammy winner, Blown Away.
To know that there is a snowplow named Blizzo makes my heart melt.
A warmth voters deem unavoidable.
How can you live in a place so cold and not have a good sense of humor?
Maggie Vespa, NBC News, St. Paul, Minnesota.
I like Scoop Dog.
Yeah, that's a good one. There's also one, Clearopatra is one of my favorites that wasn't mentioned in the story.
Lots of creativity. Coming up on Morning News Now, making history in the pool.
Up next, we're going to introduce you to the all-black college swimming team breaking barriers in and out of the water. Stay with us. We're back with some big news for inclusivity in baseball. Anderson Comas, a minor leaguer in the Chicago White Sox organization, publicly announced that he's gay in an Instagram post on Sunday. Comas is only the second active player affiliated with a major league team to come out publicly. From the Dominican Republic, Comas signed with the Chicago White Sox in 2016 as an outfielder in the minor leagues, but has since become a full-time relief pitcher. The team's assistant general manager for player development said that Comas came out to the organization last year adding they're proud to support and congratulate their teammate. In his statement, Comas warned homophobic readers the post may not be for them, then stated, quote, "Don't listen to those stupid things that people say about us. Fight for your dreams, believe in yourself, and go for it." Great message there.
Certainly is, and I love that the team tweeted their support as well, saying they're just so proud of
So important, yeah.
When it comes to responding to an avalanche, every minute is critical. As NBC News correspondent Kristen Dahlgren shows us, the best hope for rescue is often man's best friend.
High in the Colorado Rockies, the search is on.
You hear it? Yeah.
In an avalanche, every second counts. And man's best friend is often a victim's best hope.
We've had dogs find people at, 10, 12, 15 feet.
On this day, it's just training. 42 dogs from across the country gathered with Colorado Rapid Avalanche Deployment on Snowmass Mountain.
Why in this day and age are dogs still such an important part with all the technology we have?
If someone is buried under the snow without any of that technology, we really don't have too many tools to effectively locate them outside of a dog's nose.
And time is of the essence. While 9 out of 10 people can survive 15 minutes under an avalanche, after 30 minutes, survival grows unlikely. So the Snowmass team has dug 100 holes on the mountain to mimic avalanche conditions. Training starts as puppies, like sisters Telly and Moxie from Beaver Creek and Vale.
You build on a foundation of making it really just the most exciting, funnest game that they've ever experienced in their lives.
More experienced dogs are given a harder challenge.
Here we go.
As part of training, I'm buried in a snow cave.
No daylight left.
While a dog named Luna is held far away.
Luna has no idea where I am, and we're going to see if she can come and find me.
Within seconds.
Hello, good girl. Come here. Oh, good girl.
After a find, dogs are rewarded with play. It's what drives them. Teams don't just work together, they're family.
She's been my best friend, my partner. Spend every day, all day together, so it's definitely a good, fun bond.
You think she's going to save lives?
I do, yeah, I do. That's why we put in the hard work.
Because while they never know when disaster may strike, they know it will. And when it does, one of these dogs will be ready. Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, Snowmass Mountain, Colorado.
Finally this hour, a one-of-a-kind swim team taking the college sports world by storm. NBC News' Jose Diaz-Balart introduces us to the country's only all-black swim team, now racing toward a championship and inspiring young athletes along the way.
Hi, we've got a great story for you about breaking barriers. We spent a day with the nation's only all-black college swim team, and they talked to me about inspiring a new generation of athletes.
It's a swim and dive team unlike any other. These student athletes at Howard University making history as the nation's only all-black team in college swimming. A source of pride for one of the team's captains, Olympic hopeful Miles Simon.
You know, only 1.5% of competitive swimmers in this country are black. Does that surprise you? Does that shock you? It did me.
Once you get to these higher international and national level meets, not a lot of black people are swimming.
But that's not all that sets them apart. It's the team's joyful spirit that makes their events the hottest ticket in town, drawing out hundreds of dancing fans, and even landing them on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
You're actually, in a way, shining a light on how people could have a life of enjoyment in the water.
I know it warms my heart to know that Howard Swim Team inspires other young black kids to want to learn how to swim and want to continue competitive swimming.
It's all about being confident.
Coach Nick Askew is a former Howard swimmer himself and says what you see in the pool is more than just swimming.
Oxygen in, deep breath.
So that pool behind you has much more significance than it does maybe for others.
100%. It's bigger than just what we do the day to day, but we have to be the representatives.
And it's that inspiring attitude that helps these athletes overcome even the toughest challenges. Isabella Fountain was only 17 when she was diagnosed with cancer.
I almost didn't swim anymore after I got sick because I didn't know what to do.
She is now cancer-free and back in the water. As the team looks to make history yet again, and they head to the conference championships.
What's the message that we should all be listening to?
People shouldn't be creating your path. You don't have to follow in the crowd. You can create your own path if you put your mind to it.
And the team competes this Tuesday for a shot at going to the national championship. It's an incredible group.
Most definitely. Jose Diaz-Balart, thank you for that inspiring story. That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.